What's going on, guys? So today on this SHOKY third-party, model kit, not Gunpla Transformers review? Sorry, it's a little confusing because it's an actual official Transformers product made by a third-party company that's also a model kit. Right. And of course, it is the Optimus Prime Attack Mode from good old Flame Toys. And it is from their FURAIMODEL selection. So I mean, if you caught the Flames Toys Drift review I did a couple months ago, you know that they like to do some pretty high end and somewhat stylized versions of Transformers characters. Though that Drift is actually pretty much straight out of IDW. This, on the other hand, I think might be their own interpretation. Though they do have an IDW version of Prime coming out here in a couple months. But Transformers logo here, authentic Transformers logo there, because of course. And you got this great shot of Prime here with the explosion happening, stuff going on in the background, including explosions. It's pretty cool. Please note that the final product may differ from the images shown, color, effect. Okay, cool. Come down the other side, you got Transformers, model kits, Optimus Prime, Attack Mode. Come around this side, you got Flames Toys, Furai model kit, Optimus Prime, Attack Mode. That's actually a very nice close shot of face, even the detail on the eyes. That's pretty nice. And come around the... Wait a minute. What? There's nothing on here. That side's blank. Oh, what have you done, Flame Toys? What have you done? There's got to be something. Oh. It's on the bottom. Wow. Okay, so you've got articulation there. Good articulation with over 40 movable joints. Any pose can be easily set. We'll see about that. And you got him there in like a pose, and then you got him here in a pose, and you've got detail. With detailed design, the model kit reveals the powerful side of Optimus Prime. Yes, but how? How does it do that? And you've got content. So you got all the runners right there, including clear blue parts, and you've got his face right there and stuff. Not nearly as much information on things that Gunpla have. And then you got the Bluefin sticker covering up other warnings, basically exactly the same thing. You got materials, ABS, and you got PE. Little guy with a toilet, yay! As far as I can tell, there's nobody responsible for the artwork. This makes me sad. You guys thought it wasn't going to end up upside down, did you? Ha ha ha! New model kit entirely still upside down. Yes. Wasn't sure if that was going to happen. All right, let's go ahead and get to it. New Optimus Prime. All right, guys, so here we have Optimus Prime, all done and done. And yeah, one thing you guys will probably notice right off the bat is he's got a little bit of weathering, and I've even got some paint on there. Before we get into the full-on review, I figured I'd go over some of the things that I used to do this guy. So we'll see, first and foremost, the gray paint, or the gray plastic that would be anywhere here on the legs and any of those things, and even his wheels and details like that. Whoops. Was done in Tamiya spray can. TS30 Silverleaf. It is a super bright, very, very nice silver paint. So definitely suggest that. Also, the weapons coming up feature both of these colors. And you've got the Tamiya just straight up TS18 metallic red and the TS21 gold. Now, when we get to it, I'll explain that the axe is actually done into two colors. You've got the gold and the red. I will show that in pictures when we get there. Also, if you guys were wondering all this time why my thumb was red, that would be why. Also, for a few details and even a minor bit of weathering, we've got a Mr. Color Gundam color. It is from Mr. Hobby. And this is just a metallic gray, so kind of a gunmetal-ish color. And so you got the UNTMS gray, so it's got kind of a mobile suit color. I use this to brush on a bit of the details and stuff like that. We'll cover when I look at it closer. We also have everybody's favorite liquid chrome marker from Malto. The chrome details on here are pretty obvious there on the windshield. Also for dry brushing, used a little bit of Gundam marker silver, just the generic GM05 silver Gundam marker. For some more of the weathering, we get this Gundam marker. It's kind of a metallic grayish brownish color. It's GM165. This is actually from the IBO marker set, but it's available in a couple other places. There's some white involved. Very little, but I figured I'd show off at least where that came from. And it's from the C Destiny marker, and it is the Gundam marker 58. Some light blue that will also come up. Also from Gundam Seed Destiny, it is the GM61 super light blue. That'll be pretty obvious when we come up with that. And straight up GM10, which is just a black. So straight up Gundam black was used for some of the weathering and other things like that. Nothing super heavy, but these are the things that went into it, and I just used a custom chipping brush for the dry brushing effect. Now, for the actual kit, since I know you guys have been asking questions about techniques and stuff like that, and I couldn't show off how I did it, so to speak, but we'll look closer at the actual effects here. Sorry, I had to crank up the brightness just a little bit, but as you can see here, that Flames Toys really does capture some really interesting aesthetics with their line. You've got a super narrow waist, a very squished down chest for Prime, and then also these big long shoulders that were very prominent in Drift's design, but that's actually part of Drift's actual design. Where they came up with this, I don't know offhand. Now you do get a lot of stickers with this, most of which are foil. They're all on a foil sheet, but they're not all foil stickers. So here on the crotch, you can see these little blue metallic stickers, along with the yellow on the hips. These chromish, weird-looking stickers here in the hand are also from there. Originally, I did have the crest sticker in there, which is chromish. That's where actually some of the chrome marker did go instead, because the sticker would not hold in place. And then these Autobot logos here are also stickers. Now, if you come down to the legs, you get big red metallic sticker there. Some cool blue metallic right in there. And then on the inside of the knee, you get some more red marker. So, or a marker sticker. It does look very, very cool when it's done. Now, I mentioned that the parts here, everywhere you see silver, was a lightish gray color, which was actually very let downish, because everywhere it shows it to be either a white or a silver, and they didn't go either. So I did use that really beautiful Tamiya silver to go over everything, as you guys can see here. Let me pull on the camera. There is some dry brushing there with a little bit of that gray, a little bit of black just hitting the corners. You can see it here on the crotch flaps as well. Also use some of the Tamiya weathering kits with some brown and some soot. I guess it'll be brown rust, and then some soot. That dark silver paint, the dark metallic gray here, is also here on this crotch vent, which would be entirely silver otherwise. As you can see down here on the thigh, you can see a lot of the brownish dry brushing kind of there. And you can see the silver scratches and dry brushing all over the legs. That is where I started, especially down here on the feet. Now, it is very, very easy to go overboard with this, and I have actually had to wipe some off and start over. This foot was much heavier in silver chipping and stuff like that before I got started, or before I finalized it, I should say. The nice gunmetal kind of gray plastic there has a little bit of texture to it, so it was actually nice to buff it up with some silver. Get that nice and weathered. The tanks here, you can see, are not perfectly silver anymore. Hit it with a little bit of dry brushing of that gray, even a little bit of black, and even some brown and soot. And got some more rust happening right there. The backs of the legs, these vents right here, this is also that same metallic gray applied there, because those were actually huge stickers. And you can see the back of the feet also got a little bit of chipping. This right here is a lot thinner for some reason, so I might have to hit that with a little more paint. Did the same thing right up in here, and I probably could have done it there in that weird little gap. The wheels, as I kind of bypassed, are that same gray. Just hit those with silver, and then tried to brush it a little bit with some darker stuff. Not necessarily came across. The tires have a little bit of dirt and other stuff thrown on there as well. You do get stickers that I forgot about right here. These kind of coppery stickers in the quote-unquote headlights. Actually, you can see it a little bit. Right. There we go. It's such a hard thing. It'd be really hard to actually get some paint in there. Once again, they don't stick that well. Maybe it's because it's on a painted surface. I'm not sure. They should have a little indentation to the middle. The grill part for the chest is pretty cool. I do dig that. It looks so much better in silver. Goes all the way up inside there and has a little bit of a chomping beak there with the ab crunch. It's kind of funny. The sides here got some weathering, both with dirt and soot and silver and all of that. And you can see here this stripe down the side looks kind of like a vent with also that metallic gray and then brushed over with a little bit of dry brushing. You do get stickers here for the cab lights, but those are all hit. Actually, oh, I totally forgot to bring it here. It's my new favorite is Gundam metallic marker, gold. I did forget about that. Apologies. But either way, just those little dots. They give you a bunch of extra just in case they get screwed up. And I'm guessing that's exactly what it's for. Now, inside the chest, he does have a matrix built in. You can sort of see it in a little bit of light. I did paint that. I'll show it here as a picture as I was building it, because you can't open the chest or anything to really see it. So, it kind of sucks. Now, his fists, those are just the basic ones. Got some dry brushing there, show some damage. This little line around his forearm got some of that same metallic gray. Where I would normally use some of my favorites, dark gray ever. That's just the same metallic gray as everything else. Got some more dry brushing. Got some more rust. A little more gray and black dry brushing on the silver just to show some damage. And you come up on the shoulders. You see lots of scrape damage and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about these shoulders here in a second after I'm done showing off all the things. The smokestacks there, done in silver, of course. I do wish they had molded in a little bit of recess there. I did actually hit both of them with a little bit of soot and stuff near the top. I hope it shows off kind of dusty. It's a little hard to see, but I guess it's there. And same thing on both sides, more of that metallic gray for the shoulder. And then also right here, these little kind of barrels on top of the chest are very simply Gundam marker silver. As for the faceplate is same silver leaf as everything else. The face vents right there are the same metallic gray. The eyes are that bright blue, and that's where the white came into play. It was just the dots in the eyes. Kind of hard to see, at least to me on camera, but they're there because it just needed it. But I do dig it. And the faceplate is sharp. Like, it's got a nice point to it. Focus on that. Thank you. You can still sort of see it. To paint the dots for the eyes, which is not an easy thing to do, all I did was take a thumbtack, just a normal everyday thumbtack, get some white paint on the end of it, and just sort of ink as best I could. So it's actually very cool. Now if we look at the back, you can see some more detail. It's very nicely done spine. You can see the weathering there, all up and down the back. A little bit of dry brushing here, a lot of dust in the edges. You can see here, this is one thing that's different from the images to this. There should be a almost thruster looking bit right here, and it is not included in the kit at all. So a little bit of false advertising. Yeah, it is what it is. The rear bumper, so to speak, in silver with some brushing. You even got a little bit of brown right there. You got the back of the thighs, all nice and silver, like we looked at before. So very good. I didn't quite check out this arm, but you know, you can see the stuff on it there. And you do get a polycap material mount for the weapons. That's also the same thing that those are. Well, actually, those are just holes, but, you know, it is what it is. It's where the weapons go. Alright, now for articulation. It's actually very articulate, though there are certain problems with some of the articulation. So we'll start off at the head, because that's what you do. The head itself is just on a ball joint. You can look down. Well, actually, there's a hinge there. We'll just call it that. There's a hinge at the bottom and a ball joint at the top. You can look really far down. You can look decently back or up. He does rotate all the way around. And I've had to have the head off a couple times in the last couple of days due to painting the eyes. So that is what it is. Now, the eyes are a clear blue plastic, which is the same color as the chest. But it looks so dead because there's no light piping or anything. That's why I painted it. And I painted them before inserting them into the faceplate, because they do insert from the back like Gundam eyes would as well. So I recommend that for sure. And then I did the dots on the eyes after the fact. By the way, I did not cover the dry brushing on the ears and stuff, but they're there. And you can move these back and forth. I just want them right there. These shoulders are where some of the problems come up. You can rotate entirely, even with the shoulder armor. Shoulder armor does flip-flop up like so. And you can raise the arm up, but if you need to go even higher with the shoulder armor, you can do that. So he can get out, you can probably get out to a full 90, but you have to really crank on this armor, and I don't want to. Because this is the thinnest plastic, I think, in the entire piece. It's going to be hard to see now, at least on this one. You can see it here. You can see the stress cracking internally just from inserting this piece into this piece. I will say this now for everybody who will build this kit, and maybe you've run into this as well. Go ahead and try to deal with it. Just file down that peg. It's just a wide, flat peg. File it down a bit and then insert it. But also glue the entire shoulder together at the same time, because otherwise it will have that problem and they will want to come apart on you. One problem I had, you're not going to run into this. Well, actually, you probably will. I forgot to mention this. In the instructions, they're very, very unclear as to when the stickers go on, because they treat it very similarly to the parts as they're going together. It's just a little S with a number pointing at the thing. We're all used to the little like peeling logo that Bandai uses for their stickers. That would have been great, because I wouldn't have missed putting these on, putting the one on in there, putting on some of the other ones. I missed all of those and got through most of the thing. If it wasn't for the fact that you can remove these little pieces from behind the shoulders, I would never have gotten those Autobot logos in there at all, because I had already glued the whole shoulder together before I realized my mistake, because I thought that the stickers would go on through this hole. It won't, just so you know. Now, you do get bicep rotation. You do get a very, very nice double jointed elbow right there. And he does get wrist rotation at the hands, but also, due to the way it's built, you get a rocker right there. So you get a little bit more movement. Now, one thing I will say about this, the joints all feel very, very strange, because for the most part, they are polycap material, but it's so thin and vertical. Look how much flex side to side these arms have. It's really very, very unnerving when you're used to the Bandai tightness. Not to say they're loose, but the actual fitment of everything is not straight, because you can see it right through there probably. This is the pieces for the actual joints, and the center bit is plastic, but here and here that peg together are polycaps. So your polycaps or your joints themselves are made of polycaps. That's disturbing. One other thing they can do, it does have a slide out for the butterfly joint. And it is very nice like that. That would be one of the other problems I have, is this shoulder has come apart on me multiple times due to the way this is designed. Because once again, it's kind of a polycap sliding material in there. That's not actually the problem. The problem is where this piece right here connects to the slider is a very small hinge joint that comes in from underneath. When you have the axe or the gun in hand and you're trying to raise the shoulder up, outwardly on this hinge, you can end up just putting enough tweak on it to where it will hinge. It'll end up pivoting, I should say, across the joint, and just boop, pops the shoulder out, and it won't function properly. After that, it won't slide in and out either. So it can cause a problem. Be very wary of that if you have that problem. It may even do it in the middle of this review. We'll find out. As I kind of showed it off before, he has some pretty ridiculous ab crunch. Big hinge there, just on the top. And then he can really crunch over and look down, like so. Does have rotation there and at the base. So be wary about how you're rotating it, just in case. And also the fact that it is painted. I don't want to end up chipping things, so just have to be a little bit careful. And it can go side to side a little bit, just also be careful. The hips are mostly just T-mounted. They're not ball joints, they're just slide-on joints. As you can see, I'm just kind of sliding that in. Same thing over here. They get a little bit tight on the inside. And the hips themselves, the way they're designed, are just like most Gundams, so that shouldn't be a big of a shocker. He does have thigh rotation up here, though you will be popping stuff off with the wheel and other things if you're not careful. The front skirts themselves are two separate pieces, so you don't even have to like separate those like a Gundam kit. So you'll be fine there. He can kick very far forward, like so. Can go decently back. This back bumper does actually rotate a little. Just beware, you don't want to pop it off by accident. The double jointed knee is very sufficient. It's probably a little past 90. The ankle is nice. Has a bit of a swivel up at the top, back and forth. You can't move it. Maybe it just hinges. I thought it would slide back and forth. It does pivot back and forth, and then the toe point does go up and does go down a little bit for some dynamic stances. You're not going to get a super wide like A stance out of him, but he's still very posable, like so. I do dig it. So articulation, not a problem, except for where this shoulder would like to come apart, where these shoulder armors may or may not stress, and I've had the hips come off a couple times just from working it back and forth, but nothing too major, nothing that a little bit of glue and just some careful positioning won't solve. Alright, so now we need to talk about accessories and things. I'll talk about the most useless thing first and foremost. You get this little adapter here, and it is polycap material, and it does plug in on the back where this one is plugged in. I can't tell exactly what it's supposed to be used for. I think it's meant for the axe, but as far as I can tell, the axe doesn't interact with this in any way, shape, or form. So, honestly, you don't need this. That's the one you actually do need. Now, he does actually have a hole right there that is the correct size for the tabs on the weapon to go into. Same thing as here on the butt skirts. I'll show that off here when we get to the weapons, such as these. Oops. So we'll start with his cannon, which I actually have in his left hand. He does have a left and right holding hand. It's sandwiched them together just like a Gundam hand, and does have a tab for lightly tabbing into the palm. And as you can see, it does have quite a bit of dry brushing on it. In fact, here, I'll make it a little bit easier to see. We'll do it against the white background so we don't have as much glare. You see a lot of dry brushing back here. That is all done with a Gundam Marker Silver and a little bit of a chipping brush. Though the nozzle, the actual end of the gun, the barrel of the gun, does have a little bit more. So it's got some silver, it's got some of the metallic gray, and it has some soot all around it because it will be the more worn out section and have a little bit of scorching to it if possible. So it was a lot brighter than it used to be. Or, I'm sorry, it used to be a lot brighter. I can't talk. It is what it is. But it is a very, very cool weapon, and it does fit Prime as it should. And very simple hand replacement, just like a Gundam. Like so. And like I said, these weapons are a bit heavy. You have to be wary of that. And the wrist plug is just a polycap with a slight cutout to one side, so expect it at some point to start wearing out. But he looks very, very nice with his gun. If you have it fully extended, or you have the arm fully extended, you're going to get some droop, which is to kind of be expected. So you just sort of have to finagle it a little bit. If you rotate the actual wrist part out a little or in a little, and get a little bit more stability. If you just have it cradled in the arm, like Prime tends to have it anyways, you don't notice at all. Now, the weapon itself can plug into the butt skirt. If you pull that off, and you can see how the hand works. Ah! And one thing about taking the hand apart, you just have to be careful with it. It is like basically a Master Grade style hand, like the cheaper ones, or HGs. More like an HG style, but at Master Grade size. And yes, we'll be doing a size comparison eventually. Hush. So you take the gun, you see he's got 2 tabs on either side, and depending on if you want to be right-handed or left-handed, you just tab the gun into the butt skirt, like so. And yes, using the same tabs, you can more or less plug it in up here, although it's meant for a bit of a longer tab, but you can totally do it. And one thing you couldn't see before, because the handle's on there, I do have the handle dry brushed quite a bit more, where he actually would hold the gun. Just makes sense, right? Makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you, Prime? Yes. Alright, and of course, the big bad boy that everybody wants to see. Go ahead and pull this hand off, just because we're going to get there. You get his Energon axe, or just axe. And it is a very cool weapon. A little harsh under these lights, but let's see, back that up just a little bit. And the blade part is supposed to be a metallic red. You do get 2 very, very big stickers to try to put on there. I chose to not, because pain in the ass. Now, people were asking me the other day, how did I do the red on this axe? There's no way that came out of a rail can. Well, I promise you it did. And maybe seeing it here on camera will help you figure that part out. But as I promised earlier when talking about it, here is an image of the axe. All I did was mask off everything that wasn't going to be gold. And I wanted to give this thing a little bit more of a warm color and try to get some orange to pop out of it. So I painted the entire blade gold, along with this little piece right over there. And then I hit it with the metallic red. And the metallic red was actually like, there's hardly any of it left, because I used this on several other projects. And I wanted to make sure I got everything I could out of it. Quick tip: if you have a paint can that doesn't have a whole lot left in it, but you're trying to get every little bit, put it in some hot water. Like the hottest water you can get out of your taps. Maybe microwave a cup of water for for about 15-20 seconds. Put the can in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, and it will definitely help. So it actually sprayed like a super fine mist and got a very even coat. And you guys can see, when the light reflects, you can see some of that gold coming through. That was the idea. I wanted it to be a little bit more warm of a color. Now, one thing I did do that did not really come across as well as I wanted it to, maybe it does in this lighting. Actually, right there, you can kind of see it. The outer part of the edge is just the raw paint. I did nothing else to it. The back side, if you just follow the angles there, it does actually have a matte coat on it. And it didn't quite matte it as much as I wanted it to, but you can see the difference in the lighting. And I just wanted it to have just a slightly different effect when the light hit it. You can also see there is dry brushing on it. So whether it's Energon or not, it got some silver dry brushing even there on the red. Even just some of the angles got a little bit of dry brushing on it. It's not super beat up. And then here in between, definitely got some dry brushing. Same here. Little tank back here on the back of the axe actually got hit with some black, soot, some black paint, just kind of very lightly brushed. And then the handle bits, where all of this was extremely masked off to make sure I get it. The wheels do come off, so you don't have to worry about that part. This is a very fun weapon, and I got some dry brushing and stuff down here at the base of the handle. A little bit heavy right there. The brush was just a little bit too heavy-handed, but no pun intended there. But it's a very, very cool weapon, but as I stated before, it's actually very end-heavy, which does make it droop a little bit. And also why the shoulder has come apart on me so many times is just posing him with this axe. I think it looks better in his right hand. So that's what I usually do. I usually have it back just a little bit like so. And usually have his gun in his left hand, even though Prime is primarily right-handed, pun intended. Looks very, very cool. And like I said, you know, if you didn't believe that I painted that with straight rattle can, well, I did. So, and the red plastic and the blue plastic are just bare plastic with a little bit of dry brushing. Nothing major going on there. Nothing I wanted to repaint. Now, I did have blue paint. I did have red paint. So I realistically could have completely painted this guy if I wanted to, but I want to do this pretty quick. I did the entire build, and even with some of the painting details, in less than 2 days. And, you know, I'm pretty happy with the results. Now, you do have the axe. He does have a really nasty exposed handle there. So you get a little covered down piece for that. So in storage mode, it can look like a complete weapon. As for storage mode, you do have tabs. You got little tabs, you got big tabs. It will plug in across here on the butt skirt if you want it to. But it gets in the way a little bit. It looks pretty good. But that's what this thing up here is for tabbing in the axe. Now, if you tab it in with the longer tabs, like so, it stays in fine, but there's way too much handle sticking up, and the blade is definitely in the way of the arm. But if you plug in the smaller tab, like so, it looks pretty good. But sometimes it does not stay in very well. I had it fall off on me several times, like just repeatedly falling off on me. So I tended to actually put it in this way for some reason. It liked the tab better facing that direction. Don't ask me why. It was just a preference the plastic had. And so there we have Prime, all armored up. So let's go ahead and get some quick comparisons. Here he is next to the last red and blue guy we had. So next to Kamen Rider Build, who is roughly a 6-inch figure. So you can see, even at the head, he's probably a good, and a little bit taller. Plus these two look really good together. Here he is next to an SD Gundam. Kind of hard to see because it just kind of blots out there. An HG Gundam that we've seen recently. And a more important size comparison, an MG Gundam, specifically from Wing, because that's basically what he's scaled to, or at least side-like. In almost every dimension, he's about the same as a Wing Gundam. So the torso area, probably close, a little bit longer on him. Legs are about the same length. Arms are probably roughly the same length. And of course, the hands are... Hope I had the right size hands. In this case, for a Wing Gundam, his hands are a little bit bigger. But a Wing Gundam is about the same size as this Prime. So to give you an idea, while he might be HG sized, and dang it can't focus. It only wants to focus on my hand, nothing else. He's big. He's big enough. He's probably a good Voyager class actual figure. Like if you're looking at real Transformers, he's probably close to a Voyager class. Or if nothing else, he's definitely Chug. For my non-Transformers people, go look up Chug. But for one last comparison on something that I don't know if we've actually reviewed or not at this point, here's a Star Wars Black Series 6-inch figure, so more humanoid. So he's definitely taller than this. So he's over 6 inches, even without the axe being back there. Alright guys, so final thoughts. For a first outing into a model kit from a pretty prodigious high-end toy maker, it's decent. The plastic is definitely the weakest part of this, and pun fully intended. The shoulders are the thinnest plastic on the planet, so you have to be super careful when assembling that, make sure nothing breaks. The chunkier plastic for the legs is actually pretty decent. The polycap material being used for actual joint reinforcement is a bad idea rather than being used for soft connections for hinges like we're used to with Gunpla. Lots of things should be glued in. These are glued in up here, the smokestacks, or else you're going to knock them off when maneuvering the shoulders. I did that. I just glued them from the backside, no problem. Glue the shoulder armor completely together after you've applied the stickers. I've just discovered while putting him in this pose that the hip connector here that the actual peg slides into is completely cracked all the way through. That's probably going to need to be glued, or that leg is going to be forever loose. These stickers, unless they're being put directly on raw plastic, don't stick. So, I mean, the ones here that are on totally flat areas, they're okay. The ones in there, they're okay. They're not perfect fit, but they're pretty close. The ones inside there on those little headlights are pretty good as well. The lack of detail on the matrix on the inside kind of sucks. I mean, you can paint it, you'll know it's there, but nobody else will ever get to see it. And that sucks. You can sort of see it coming through the windshield right there. The deadness on the eyes really does bother me. I know they're used to doing figures that have light up gimmicks and stuff like that. Doing it as clear but without giving it light piping really did actually kind of kill it. Pun totally intended. If you paint it, it will be a much better kit, as you can see. Now, you don't have to go to the 9s like I did. You also don't necessarily have to go to the extremes that this one builder from the Realm of Collectors did. It's pretty cool, but it's incredibly crusty. Now, you like that look? Perfectly fine. This was almost too much weathering just for me, but it's a cool way to customize it nonetheless. Now, they do have the Nemesis Prime Special Edition that's round about the same price, but it's going to be a little bit harder to get a hold of. While only originally available at NYCC, now it seems to be going out to distributors. I tried to buy it off the website and realized I was going to have to pay a buttload in shipping because it's coming from Hong Kong. The build is actually super simple. If you skip painting most of the details, stuff like that, you build this guy in maybe an hour, hour and a half, if you're not doing any heavy work. Nubs were actually surprisingly easy to clean up due to the way the plastic is, though the plastic is definitely not Bandai quality, but it does feel like some toys, so it is a little bit different. It's really strange. Now, I do just have him on the stand that the 00 Quanta used for the sword. He doesn't have any kind of peg for connection purposes. I find that really strange. There's no stand peg anywhere on him. You could use a standard Bandai crotch fork if you want, or if you feel like drilling a hole in a safe spot for a peg, go for it. I would say probably do it back here on the back. Maybe, I was going to say middle of the bumper, but that's a hinge joint. You don't want to do that. So somewhere probably on this lower torso section on the back would probably be a good spot for that if you want to drill out a hole. I did neglect this. He does have drop-down hips. He does have the little kind of drop-down hip gimmick. I'm not going to toy with it, if I'm totally honest. The hips are already scaring me as it is. But, I mean, overall, it does look fantastic. It is a great idea. It is a watered-down version of what they do with their figures, which I will be looking at their next one as soon as I can afford to get it. It's a very, very pricey figure, and my credit card has not paid down as much as I thought it would be by now. It's kind of the cost of buying stuff. And no, of course, he does not come with this stand. People were just thinking that out loud. No, like I said, this is the stand from 00 Quanta. Don't worry about it. I just wanted to get him in a cool striking pose. The only thing I wish he really, really came with, and this is going to be true, it looks like for at least the first two kits between him and Starscream, only has the fist and the holding hands. No expressive hands. However, the IDW Prime looks like it will have expressive hands as well. That's what this one needs for sure. But guys, if you like this figure, I definitely recommend it for the $35 to $40 price. You can get them a little bit cheaper with coupons or something like that. By all means, it's available in a lot of places. Oh, the one other complaint I have is actually about the box being like the thinnest cardboard ever. I think I mentioned that in the unboxing probably. But for the most part, for a first new thing that Flames Toys has kind of ventured into and looks like they're going heavy into with their modeling system, I definitely give it a passing grade, though paint work definitely makes it more worth it. A street build, some of you guys are really going to not like it. I will guarantee it. But, you know, for a few extra hours of work and not that much effort, you can make them look this cool. So, it is what it is, guys. Guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a big old thumbs up. And if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe-ish button down there. Or technically, it's over there. And, yeah. We're over 3,300 as of filming this, and climbing every day. I like to think that Double October had something to do with that. Speaking of which, Double October shirts are still available. Of course, you can check those out in the link down below to the t-shirt store. And of course, if you want to check out all my third-party Transformers, you can do that in the playlist up here, or probably at the end. But if you guys want to help me out on a monthly deal and actually check out the Patreon, become a patroneer today, they'll see a lot of these things early. Odds are they saw this review much earlier than you guys, along with a few other things. And of course, if you go high enough, you can in fact help dictate some of the things I build. Guys, that's going to be it for this Flame Toys FURAIMODEL Kit Optimus Prime review. I really need a turntable. Alright, I'll catch you guys on the next one. I do look forward to getting more of their kits, I will say that. And I know Steve is definitely looking forward to that Starscream. But I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, as always, to roll out.